Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and welcome to episode DSquared of the Soul Imagineer Tribal Council podcast. DSquared, episode DSquared. DSquared of the DSquared. DSquared.
Uh, Is that like a cue for something?
Yeah, it's a cue to say hi. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good, I guess. I don't know. Came in fourth. That's fine. It's better than fifth.
Well, you know, some of the most legendary Survivor players, IDI, you can attest to this. Some of the most legendary players got voted out right before the final tribal council, right, IDI?
Yeah, that's the classic you should have won spot.
You want to run some of them down? We have Rob Sesternino. That's the one that springs to mind right away.
There's Cass. She would have won hands down. I mean, you know.
I'm thinking probably Aussie and South Pacific's a good example.
Yeah.
Okay, but enough of that. So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about, gentlemen. We have a lot to catch up on. We have 2 challenges to get through. We have a tribal council to get through, some voting, some strategy, maybe some blunders on my end. We shall see. But let's just kind of circle back in time before we get to kind of like who is in what position going into the next round and go back to the reward challenges. And the reward challenges this time around were basically to bring back an attraction from the dead, bring back an extinct attraction, and revive it in your own kind of creative way. So I thought, honestly, this was a really, really fun idea to have as like the final 2 challenges of the season. I love the way this reward challenge played out. This was probably my favorite twist of the game in terms of just I thought it was fair on everyone's part. I thought it was a good, kind of fun way to give someone an advantage, but not too much of an advantage. And so let's dive into it. First of all, what did you guys think of the actual project, the proposal, as you were kind of thinking up ideas? Like, what sprang to mind as potential attractions to revive?
For the first one, right, for Disneyland, that first challenge,
For the first one, yeah.
I feel like the only 2 I was really considering were the Skyway and the People Mover. And for the sake of, you know, the People Mover probably isn't too realistic, I went with the Skyway. But either way, right, I thought it would be a really fun challenge to work on, just because, you know, classic attractions.
Yeah.
That's it. Just classic. It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of the Skyway, we have Flippin' Flounder, who also did the Skyway, and now I will kind of go ahead and pull up my screen share if you all don't mind. Oh my god, the magic of technology. Holy crap. Go ahead and lock that in. Alright. Okay, so Flippin' Flounder did the Skyway. It's been a while, guys. I was very familiar with these projects, but it's kind of, some of the details kind of lost on me.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, where does the Skyway lead? The Skyway to Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. Okay, I remember this. This is essentially, it has 2 different show scenes. One of them, I think, is within, no, there's 2 within the Matterhorn. Each one has a different show scene within the Matterhorn. And then there's also a show scene leaving the station. In the Fantasyland's case, it's Snow White, as you can see here. And then in the Tomorrowland's case, it is Buzz Lightyear, and I think there's a big scene with Zurg. But it seems like, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, one side, the Fantasyland side, has an Anna and Elsa encounter in the Matterhorn, and then the other has an encounter with Harold. So what do you all think of this?
Well, this is just like a nitpick with me. I guess it's like good for Flounder because it seems realistic that they would do this with Frozen, but I don't personally like it when instead of just building a ride, they just litter it all throughout every resort. Not that that's a bad thing, but I just like a personal nitpick with the Frozen thing. I like
No, you have to embrace the Frozen fever.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on now. Get with it. Don't make me call the mouse on you. I found a lemon tree. I mean, I thought this project was fine. I think the Skyway is a good choice to bring back, considering how congested the park is in general. It'd be nice to have a form of transportation, especially considering there's not going to be the Disneyland Railroad until after Star Wars Land opens up. So, I don't know. What do you guys think of the whole idea of having these show scenes after leaving the station? I thought it was interesting. I just don't know exactly how they would do it in terms of the space it would require.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's like I'm kind of envisioning it kind of like how the People Mover in Magic Kingdom does it. Like as you're touring throughout, you kind of got to look at all sorts of areas of Tomorrowland. Like I'm kind of getting a similar vibe from that, right? Kind of like seeing different scenes from Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, which is cool. I just don't know if there's really the space.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, a solid effort on Flippin's part.
Yeah.
So let's move on to my project. This, guys, is actually probably one of my favorite projects that I did in the course of the Soul Imagineer. Of course, as I mentioned, it was kind of Red and I had been talking about doing some sort of revival for the Frontierland part of Disneyland in the project where we ultimately went with doing the Hollywoodland makeover as well as the High Sierras mini-land that led into Cars Land. This is essentially all the ideas that Red and I had left over, and my argument for this, and I think I was very creative with it, because as you guys can see, I did Nature's Wonderland, which, as promised, via the Disneyland Railroad, I think we're going to get some form of Nature's Wonderland. I don't know. I don't know how much that's actually going to be, but I don't know. I kind of brought together rumors. I brought together what I want to see back. I brought together what I think people would want to see back. And ultimately, with all the newfangled technology going on in Star Wars Land, which I'm sure is going to be incredible and immersive and all that, I really want something that brings the park back to the good old days of kind of like, nostalgic, just like a day on the rivers of America where you can just like bring your kids and, not have anything that's too in their face, just kind of have, just really simple kind of hearkening back to the day sort of stuff, which is really what I featured here. And of course, I do love that I brought back, wait for it, Frito the Kid. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm just refreshing myself with it now, and
That's all good.
yeah, like you said, I think that's what I like most about it, is that it's like simple, but not in a boring way. You know what I mean? It's like just good old entertainment. Like it fits into the land well. It's like something that should be in the park, but it's not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that video that I posted of the country bears on the great outdoors in Tom Sawyer Island, that does kind of encapsulate what Tom Sawyer's Island was like back in the day, and it's something that I'd like to see that area get to again, because I feel like so much of that area has been cut off. Fort Wilderness was obviously a major loss when when that was closed down. I feel like they need to bulldoze that thing and just start all over with it. The Burning Settlers Cabin is just a site that I would take away the guy that's dead and shot with the arrows and everything. I do think that's a little graphic, but just seeing the cabin burning, having that cool Pirates of the Caribbean effect in the daytime, that's something I remember watching on the Mark Twain on my childhood, and I was like, oh my god, that cabin's on fire, and it was, I mean, it does bring a good sense of urgency to riding along the rivers of America. I do think Mike Fink's keelboats are an attraction that I really would have loved to have experienced back in the day that I never got a chance to. I said Fort Wilderness, it's a shame that Fort Wilderness isn't around anymore, and I really wish they'd bring it back. I think it's an ample opportunity to bring it back. All I'm saying is that they're doing a lot of work with this section of the park anyways. Why not kind of incorporate some of these ideas into
Yeah.
it. So, all right. Okay. Frito the Kid! Opened up another bag of Fritos, Klondike. All right, DSquared, talk about carousel progress.
This idea pretty much just came from me looking at the map and saying, hey, there's no carousel progress on here. Like, that's just... This is probably up there with Small World and Pirates as, like, one of those top, like, original Walt Disney himself rides that everyone thinks of. So, I mean, the one in WDW could use some updates, but considering that wasn't the challenge, I thought maybe I could just give it some updates but put it in Disneyland instead, considering what's there now. Whatever, it's like the upcoming movie thing or something.
What's there now is essentially like Innoventions and Marvel. It's Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like ads, corporate ads.
Yeah. So I basically want.
Don't you want to meet Kylo Ren, DSquared? Don't you want to meet Kylo Ren? I mean, come on, who doesn't want to meet Kylo Ren?
Yeah, everyone wants to meet Kylo Ren. So I basically.
Although I will admit, Hyperspace Mountain is pretty awesome, and you guys don't have that, so nah.
Yeah, so I basically said split it up for 30 or 40 years each time frame to get it up to. I put it at 2020 because going into 2050.
Practically there as it is.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the thing is, if you do what, like, something like Back to the Future did, and you go 30, 40 years in the future, and you say you have flying cars and stuff, when 20 or 30 years come, it's going to seem odd, like, out of place. So I tried to go 2020 where you can kind of see where the technology is going with VR and stuff like that. And then I put Tom Hanks in as the narrator for fun, because all celebrities should have, like, a Disney ride somewhere.
I think Tom Hanks would be a good replacement for Rex Allen. I think that's a good fit.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Tom Hanks, and welcome aboard the Carousel of Progress. All right, IDI. I actually really, really like this idea, man. Yeah. I was really into this thing. Because you know how much I love Adventureland, and I love kind of this change that you made. I think it would change the entire geography of Disneyland in a way. Just a very simple concept, just changing it up from, instead of Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, just do the west side of the park, Adventureland, Frontierland. Now, I do have one question, IDI. So you would have Tarzan's Treehouse would be the launching point for Adventureland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what would be the launching point for Frontierland? Because I forget.
I don't know if I really named a specific place, so it would, like, if
Yeah,
you look
it's
at the
on
map.
Let's look at the map. Yay!
Or towards the left, over where, like, trees and stuff are now, not in the current open area.
Okay, so not in the legendary, like, Star Wars land, mounds of dirt. Not in that forbidden wasteland.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I don't know. Honestly, looking at this now, I think maybe if you were to do it, you might want to put it somewhere closer to Big Thunder, because this is kind of like all in danger of becoming Star Wars land right here. But with that in mind, I do like how you set this up. I think having a Skyway pole on Tom Sawyer's Island might be a little bit of a visual intrusion in a way. I am not entirely sure of that, but I do think that overall I like this selection of, because this walkway, I can tell you, this walkway is one of the more crowded walkways in the park. So having a transportation system that goes right over that would help. So overall, I thought this was probably one of the more practical projects in this challenge.
Thanks. And like I thought it was fun and kind of neat that like I could find a good theme for it that like still fit both Frontierland and Adventureland, like almost like a giant transition that you're riding in. It's like with the Fantasyland and Tomorrowland one, I feel like the design of it all was all very Fantasylandy, like it didn't feel Tomorrowland-ish, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
I hear you.
So that's one of the things I was thinking. But also,
That's cool.
I've never been to Disneyland, so like things like geography and like how it'll fit into the park, that I wasn't too sure about. So
Oh, it's all good, man. The thing is, I'm just obsessively watching Fresh Baked Disney's videos on the Rivers of America construction right now, and I'm like, oh my god. So I'm just an Uber when it comes to watching the construction progress for Star Wars Land, to tell you the truth. Okay. All right. So I guess with that, was that the only people? Yeah, that was Final Four. So I won. And then what do you all think of this reward where I got to assign the parks?
I thought that was interesting. I really thought the reward was going to be like bringing back a former member to help you for the final one, like last year. But so I thought this was like a cool and interesting way to do it, like have a reward.
And I gotta say, it led to some really interesting dynamics because what happened and how I laid it out kind of fell on its face. So, I guess since the final three is all said and done, we can pretty much be honest here. I am not sure how much you two would have held up your end of the deal, but if Flippin hadn't won immunity, as far as I was concerned, the plan was to vote him out and to keep myself, IDI, and DSquared, who I consider to be kind of equal jury threats in the game. I thought that was a very honorable way to go about it. I thought it'd be cool to kind of see so many dynamic personalities meet the end. Not to say that Flippin wasn't a good player, it's just to say that, IDI, of course, being the former winner, and DSquared, of course, just being DSquared, and has a hell of a story and everything, It's so Flippin basically flipped the game around. So, Flippin, yeah, congratulations to living up to your namesake. So I gave Flippin Epcot basically because he had gotten last or close to last in most of the immunity challenges. And I essentially figured, well, there's no way he's actually going to win, so I'll just let him go easy. I'll just do Epcot. Here, sure. Oh boy. And obviously that's where the intrigue comes in, where Flippin does end up winning. But the other thing I want to talk about, DSquared, were you okay with getting Hollywood Studios? I never really heard back from you in regards to that.
I think that one was easy because a lot of the past attractions were just movie that came out that year live, TV show that came out there that year live. So if you really cut down all the former attractions, there really were only like 5 options, so it was pretty easy to pick them. And they were pretty much, no matter what happens to the studios, if it stays the studios or if it becomes Hollywood Adventure, you still need to have that Hollywood aspect in there, so it was like a pretty straightforward thing for me to do. So it wasn't that hard.
Okay. And then IDI. So you put me through hell when it came to that damn, oh god, what was it? Ratatouille. I already want to forget. Oh man. So I wasn't even, like you sent me a PM. You were like, hey, give me Epcot, and I wasn't even like gonna read your PM. I was like, no, you're getting Animal Kingdom. And honestly, the strategy I had behind that was just, I wanted the final 3 to be us 3, and I knew that I might be vulnerable if I didn't win immunity. I knew I wanted to win immunity, and I knew that, the goal should have been, I should have trusted you and DSquared a little more, and I should have gone after Flippin, and I should have given Flippin Animal Kingdom. I kind of regret not doing that in the long run, but who knows how it would have shaped out. Considering DSquared, I still want to know why you flipped on me, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Don't you worry. But, no, so overall, that was kind of like, I did put a lot of thought into each individual pick here. And with Magic Kingdom, it's just every single attraction that I wanted to do was at Magic Kingdom. I wanted to do Mr. Food. I wanted to do Alien Encounter. I wanted to do the Swan Boats just because I knew that would be an easy third thing to kind of click off the list and kind of be done with it. I didn't really want to spend that much effort on the third thing, and I thought Swan Boats would be easy. We'll talk about how that paid off in the end. But with that in mind, guys, what do you think about my thought process there?
Well, Animal Kingdom was kind of tricky, not in like actually integrating the attractions and stuff, just in the fact that I had little to no like choice. You know, there were there's only a handful I could have selected from, and I don't I don't think any of the others that I didn't go with would have made any sense.
Like, what were some of the others that you didn't go with?
There was some sort of streetmosphere thing I remember reading on Disney Wiki for Discovery Island, and it was just weird. That's all I remember.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I think
You know what this reminds me of? I'm sorry, this is an obscure Survivor reference, but okay, so IDI, have you watched All Stars?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. That's one of the
Okay.
few seasons I haven't seen in full.
Okay, well, there's this one reward challenge that Rupert wins, and it's essentially like assign meals to everybody. And so,
Okay,
the
yeah,
options
yeah,
would,
yeah,
yeah, you remember that? You remember
yeah.
that? And
hmm
so Rupert was like, I'm gonna give Boston Rob the steak, and I'm gonna give myself the hamburger. And so I kind of feel like that was it. It's like, like the steak and the hamburger in this situation were Epcot and Magic Kingdom, and then like the camp drinking water and the single bowl of salad was like Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. It's like there were two good choices and two crappy choices.
hmm
By the way, guys, I'm Hag Rupert! Roar! Hag Rupert! I'm gonna go find my whopping willow lemon tree. Roar! I'll be having fun with that. Okay, so let's talk about the project. So first of all, I did, like I said, I did the Magic Kingdom, a little Doug Walker action for you. Okay, so Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I always wanted to do Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in the form of a coaster. I personally thought it worked out well. I mean, Michael maybe had a bit of a point that I didn't explain the plot all that well, but Michael, it's not that hard of a plot. It's like Toad steals the motor car, drives crazy, you end up in hell, the end. It's like there's really not that much nuance to it. So, what do you guys think of the whole angle of having the cops versus the motorists as the dueling tracks?
That's pretty cool. Because, well, it wouldn't be different. Technically, it couldn't be different each time, right?
Technically.
I mean, if something weird happened, it could have different endings, but I don't think that would be the best idea. So that would be like the what's it called, the Dragon Challenge, kind of done right though, where it can actually not be boring.
Well, the thing is, yeah, it's like I think it definitely connects to the plot in a major way. Where with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, of course, the big appeal is riding in those motor cars,
Yeah.
and then you'd have the old-fashioned police cars as well, and that would be the dueling element. It wouldn't necessarily be something like Twisted Colossus or something like that, where the track is just like lined up right next to each other and you're like racing. I'd say more dueling in the fact that there's a lot of near miss elements and the tracks are constantly kind of interacting with each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of my definition of it.
Yeah.
I really like the whole visual of the very steep drop from high above Toad Hall going crashing through the wall of Toad Hall. And I guess that's it. That must be some sort of Italian stereotype, right? Right? Should I be offended here?
Probably.
Probably. Look at him. I don't trust him. You know who he reminds me of?
Matt.
Of course. And you know why, right? Because Matt's fucking Super Mario, and Mario's got that goddamn mustache. Fucking A, Matt! Oh, look at you. Your sly grin, your beer, and you shouldn't drink, Matt. You shouldn't drink. Don't drink. All right. Okay, so then we have the extraterrestrial alien encounter. Not much to go over here. I do feel like I just kind of did a solid job of kind of recreating everything that happens in the ride within the context of doing a ride through. Excuse me. I do think probably my favorite element of this is doing the Sir is kind of like the main character is trying to guide you out of it. What do you all think?
I like this. It was my favorite of your three
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
revivals. I just, I really thought the story you went with was cool, and like just how you changed it because, like, and you also mentioned that you had right. It was one of the more mature attractions,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Magic Kingdom could really use one of those, especially like if they're gonna keep adding things like Frozen Fever type stuff, right, all over the parks.
Yeah.
Come on, you don't have the frozen fever? Come on!
Oh, I do. I'm talking about other people. Not everyone loves it as much as I do, and so I'm thinking
You're
of them.
goddamn right. Better have frozen fever. Oh god. You know we're putting it in the Tiki room, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Olaf in there singing In Summer. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. Alright, I'm done. Oh, I feel like I just stabbed myself in the heart a little bit. That's painful to think about. Oh.
The Enchanted Tiki Room under newer management.
But then Olaf melts in the end and he finally gets his death scene and then I'm like, haha, he's dead. I honestly think this picture sums up quite well the experience that I'm going with in terms of, it's very much built upon the sensory overload that you get with the original, but just like I said, you have the extra element of the conveyor system where you're still locked in, but you're moving, and
Yeah.
then you have Tim Curry yelling in your ear the whole time. Just overall, I thought it would be, pretty good experience.
Yeah.
And this is something that Joker and I have been talking about doing for a long time as an alien encounter ride through, so it finally got done. Yay! All right. Then we finally have the swamp boats. Not much to say about here. I will fully take Armichael's criticism, except, can you guys mute the mic while I play this Freakazoid clip? Can you guys mute your mics?
Sure.
All right. Hold on. Give me a sec.
Balance. It's awful, terrible. Don't worry, my friend. We will figure out something. No, not that. I was just thinking about that boat ride at Disneyland. Yes, I know. It's gone.
Okay, sorry, I just that clip, just that clip. I love that clip. Um, and I do think it sums up what I was trying to go for really well. You know, with the whole like people being upset about the swan boats being gone. I know it's not the same thing, but would you consider the swan boats to essentially be Magic Kingdom's equivalent to the motorboat cruise?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I think I've heard of it. I might have heard of it.
I feel like I should know what it is, but I don't.
Yeah.
Well, Freakazoid sure knows what it is. Come on.
It's true.
Get with the Freakazoid fever, man. All right. No, in all seriousness, no. I should have done more research to see how realistic this Aquatopia concept was. I think this was definitely what lost me the immunity challenge. I think if I would have had a third strong contender, I don't like a Delta Dreamflight or something like that. Delta Dreamflight probably would have been what I would have gone with if I hadn't thought of the Swan boats.
See,
I think I
been-
could have won this challenge. What?
I think it would have been cool to maybe take Dreamflight and do something in Adventureland with it, right? Kind of like the Soarin' and DCA theme.
Right. But, you know, I completely embrace our Michael's criticisms of this. You know, I should have done more research, and I had no idea that the area that the swan boats were in had shrunk that much. I guess the one thing I will argue, though, is that, you know, I was going for a more laid-back approach to this to kind of balance out the kind of intense alien encounter and the zany and wild Mr. Toad. I kind of felt like just having the swan boats, like, look at there, and the pink text and everything. It's so calming. It's so soothing. The swan boats. So, I don't know. But, you know, once again, my second place streak, you know, I get second place more than any other place, so. All right, IDI, let's jump to you. So you have Redemption for Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
Let's go ahead. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay, so first of all, just very impressive presentation, if it will ever load. I mean, yeah, I can tell you put a lot of work into just this alone, just this tiger background. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Look at it, majestic tiger. Shere Khan is terrifying, though. Actually, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh god, get away from me, tiger. Have you guys seen Jungle Book yet?
I'm going
I have
tomorrow.
not.
I'm going tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, Shere Khan is definitely the best thing about it. But so let's kind of go over IDI stuff. So just really quick IDI, you ended up going with Dino Land, the Discovery Riverboats, and then Tarzan Rocks. Any kind of overall thoughts about that?
I just think overall on my project, probably my biggest problem was that I spent too much time working on the site and presentation and not enough on the actual content. Because I think if I explained some of my ideas more and went into more detail, that could have really helped. My favorite one was where I don't think I did a good job with it, but my favorite idea was the Tarzan Rocks thing, kind of like a Dream Along with Mickey hub show. I thought that could have been fun if if executed well.
I think the Discovery Riverboats is essentially your equivalent to my Swan Boats in a way.
Yeah.
Which, I do think I think the park could use something like this in terms of like the park is just it could use more attractions in general. It could use more rides.
Yeah, honestly, the best thing about that is just a capacity, a filler attraction.
Exactly.
Like it's not a huge cost to run, and it's not a big e-ticket, but it's just a nice little thing.
Totally. You mentioned Tarzan Rocks. I never saw obviously I never saw the original show because I've never been to WDW, but I don't know. This one was kind of the more curious pick on my end because I just didn't know that like this show has that much of a following.
I don't think it does. But I mean, it was probably one of the better choices out of what I could go with, and I thought I took it in kind of a fun direction.
All right, fair enough. I do agree that detail was probably your weak point here. So finally, Dino Land. Definitely kind of, I felt this was in the same vein as my Rivers of America project. Would you agree?
How so?
Just in the sense that it was a full land and not just an attraction.
Okay, yeah, I kind of see what you mean.
Yeah. But it definitely could use the work, so. All right. Okay, let's move on to the winning project now, unless you have anything else to say about that IDI.
No, not really. I had fun. It was hard, but I had fun.
Yeah, and I do genuinely kind of regret not giving you Epcot at this point because I didn't give you Epcot, this happened. Oh god. It'll load. I hope this one doesn't have music.
Flippins?
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
It doesn't. Oh,
good. Okay. So I like how the site it's not as flashy as IDI's site, but I feel like it's more functional. I feel like it's kind of more inviting in terms of like if I'm studying web design, which I am. So that's just kind of my end. So I gave Flippin' the World of Motion just because I thought like that'd be challenging to mix in with test tracks. So honestly, guys, I haven't read any of this because I haven't had time. So you guys kind of have to steer me through this, no pun intended, because of World of Motion.
I personally think there were some areas of it where Michael wasn't he didn't critique it fully, harsh enough.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't mean that it was bad. It was certainly a great winning project.
Yeah.
I just think there were some holes in it. You know what I mean? One thing I don't think was ever really explained in it was how the World of Motion, it was going to be a new attraction, but it wasn't really explained how it would fit into Future World, if it would be part of a transportation area, where it would really go in future and that side of Future World, or and then there was something for Imagination, which was a great ride. I think taking it as a boat ride was a very cool idea. But,
I think that's a good idea as well. Yeah.
But, the weird thing I saw was it wasn't a replacement for the current Figment ride. It was its own pavilion building, and then the current Imagination building was an inside-out area, which I just thought was weird and wasn't explained that much.
Yeah, that kind of muddled the whole thing. That kind of complicated the concept in a way.
Yeah.
I think it would have been easier to just simplify it and make it the new Imagination pavilion.
I agree.
And then Horizons, I don't think that was finished, so.
Thank you for not calling it a whole new world. Thank you for that. Yeah, you're right, not finished. Yeah. But, like I said, I think if I would have had a better attraction than Swan Boats as my third attraction, I probably would have won. But But that's not a problem. I fully give Flippin props, especially considering. Okay, now I think we can get into the strategy. DSquared, do you have anything like kind of last minute quick to say about the project you submitted for Hollywood Studios?
Not much, no.
Not much.
I think you did a good job. Like for any other project, I think this would have been like a higher contender. But like, since it was the finale, like
Yeah.
overall the projects were,
Yeah. Just need a lot more detail and start getting used to
I
that.
think Hollywood Studios was a hard one for a different reason than Animal Kingdom. Like Animal Kingdom had a lot fewer attractions to choose from, but for Hollywood Studios, there were a lot of them, but a lot of them were just unusable or hard to use because of how it's just a park that's becoming completely different than what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man wasn't allowed to use the animation building because that attraction because it was before it has to be before 2015 or something when it closed.
Oh yeah.
That was gonna be my big one, but I couldn't really do that.
Yeah, I forgot about that rule because I was thinking like the animation that would have been a great one to go. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
All right, so let's just kind of get into it. Let's get into the thick of things. So we have 4 people left. I just kind of want to pose this question to now that we have the 3 of us on air. Had Flippin not won immunity, would he have gone?
What? Before the challenge started, I got a PM from Flippin saying that there was this whole big plan to get you out, and that if I didn't vote for you, there was going to be a tie.
Okay, and that's ultimately kind of what ended up happening, and then Flippin broke the tie. So.
And then right after I voted for you, Flippin came back and said that he's not doing that anymore, which was kind of strange.
Oh god. Okay, so DSquared, so it sounds to me like you were kind of flipped on me from pretty early on this round.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get like a tie somehow, and then I didn't know how that would happen.
Okay. So basically Flippin used a scare tactic on you, would you say?
Pretty much. He said that there was a plan to get rid of you, and I thought, there's 4 of us left, so the probability is if we don't get the 3-1 vote, there's like a high probability I'll be on the second half of the 2-2 vote, which I was.
Mm-hmm. Well, I still would have been loyal to you had Flippin not won that immunity.
Yeah, that was...
I still probably... IDI, what do you think? Would you have tried to go with DSquared to the end over Flippin?
It's hard to say. I mean, probably. But essentially my mindset was I really could care less who goes home. I just want to be in the finals at this point. I've come so far.
That was my mindset as well.
I just want to be in the finals. That's all I want. I just want to be there and be done. And plead my case. If I win, I win. If I don't, I got to the finals twice, so good for me.
Yeah, totally.
But I was actually afraid I was going to pull a Tyson and vote myself out. Because I was talking with Flippin last minute earlier on, and it was he was thinking that the plan was going to be to vote out you, Tiki.
That's where the quote came from, I guess. And then I got a quote from him.
When I went to go vote, I switched the last minute to DSquared instead of voting for you. And then, as I was doing that, I was really worried that it was you, Tiki, and DSquared were actually gonna be voting me, and then I would go out in a 2-to-1 with Flippin voting Tiki and I voting DSquared.
Yeah.
And so I actually considered just voting Tiki in case of a tie, or just to kind of save to create a tie and save myself. But that wasn't necessary, and it worked out.
I think
I was just over paranoid.
Yeah. I think the plan was to make us think that Tiki was going to go, so you would kind of slip under the radar and you would end up going somehow.
Honestly, I don't know.
I have no idea.
saying everyone, so
Yeah.
Exactly.
like when everyone's throwing everyone's name out there, it's hard to know what's really happening until
Yeah.
our Michael reads the votes. So
Well, I guess at Final Four, it's kind of like that, because, I mean, you basically all have to gang up on one person.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
problem is you
DSquared,
don't know who to gang up on.
I sent you a message, and then you blatantly just kind of ignored it, and I was like, okay, he's not on my side. Duly noted. Duly noted. All right.
And, yeah.
The great thing about having immunity at Final Four is that you don't have to worry about that. You kind of have the power to, like, not as much as in a Final Three, but you kind of have the power. Like, everyone just wants to get to the final, so you can just tell them how to vote, and they'll most likely do that.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at that point with flipping gone, I mean, I did kind of like, and it's funny, guys. I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a preface to my final tribal council speech right here, but I do feel like one of the big strengths of the way I played this game this season was how I kind of juggled my loyalty between equal parts IDI and DSquared, and IDI and DSquared, you guys were at each other's throats more than once in this game. So that was kind of like, you know, and it kind of came down to that where I went with IDI because I think he's less big of a jury threat than DSquared because DSquared just has too good of a story and IDI is a winner, and I don't know how people are going to respond to voting for a winner a second time. That's a big question mark that we'll have to face going into the final tribal council. But also B, and this is what IDI and myself kind of made a pact on, like kind of midway through the merge, is we're both know-it-alls. We made it this far into the season without being targeted, and god damn it, IDI, we made it all the way to the end this time. I have no idea how we did it. Neither of us even got voted out and sent to Redemption Island at any point. So that's a record, man. I mean, I think that's something that we can both kind of pat ourselves on the back on, considering we were the big storyline of Season 1. And then, honestly, probably the only reason why at least one of the two of us wasn't voted out before, wasn't voted out at one point before Redemption Island was over, was probably just because DSquared was the bigger storyline this season overall. So.
And also pre-merge, just because there was a lot of inactive people that kind of helped in a way.
Right. And I'll be honest with you, pre-merge, I had no idea what to make of you. I didn't know. Like, I had no idea how we'd wind up in the finals together because I was like, I didn't know if you were going to target me. I don't know if people were going to target us just assuming we were a pair. You know,
I feel like people viewed us as kind of like unspoken rivals after Season 1.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of funny to see like how it ends up.
Right. So, but that essentially was my game. Kind of like jumping off of the Monorail Red and Space bandwagon, I kind of jumped into DSquared and IDI. And then, like I said, it was kind of all about kind of balancing the two relationships that way. But, of course, I'll get more into it in my final tribal council speech. So, DSquared, any last words parting the game, man? I'm very sad to see you go, but at the same time, it kind of fits with your legendary persona. As someone kind of acutely pointed out, you know, you were the first one voted out, the last person voted out, and you even got voted out in the middle. So I don't know, man. I think you're definitely a legendary fixture of these boards after this, for sure. I think you definitely made a mark for yourself. Any parting thoughts?
Just based on the discussion that's been going on in the jury PM so far, it looks like this is going to be like really close. This is going to be really interesting to see who comes out.
Okay. I don't want to hear too much about that. I don't want to spoil anything for myself.
So I'm saying it's gonna be interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just kind of talk about that in terms of, like, we have Flip and Flounder, myself, and IDI. There might be a chance that IDI and myself might just split the votes, having Flip and Flounder come out on top, because people are going to see myself and IDI as a unit. And of course, Flippin', this is something that IDI and myself were definitely kind of scared of when Flippin' wanted immunity. Like, crap, is the whole story of the season going to be Flippin', turning it on when it really counts. Like, is that going to be the punch mark of the whole series? Is that going to be what we end on? Is just Flippin winning the last immunity and saving himself and then going on to win? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Yeah. And I do think Flippin has played a pretty decent kind of under-the-radar social game throughout the whole thing, and I think he's got a good chance.
I would definitely say that. Right? Yeah. We're probably... The three of us are probably relatively equal. Like, I know we were saying that about DSquared, but like now that Flippin won and like he kind of caps off his story this way, I feel like he has a very good chance of winning.
Yeah.
Right. And I do know that Red and Space are both very loyal to him, so I feel like that might be kind of like a big area that the two of us are going to be struggling in, is getting Red and Space's votes, of course, because we screwed them over.
How many people are on the jury?
I don't know. That's a good question.
There's T-Cool, Puff, Space, Red, Matt, and DSquared. Did I miss anyone?
Me, Huffle, Puff, Matt, Monorail, Space, and T-Cool.
Okay, yeah. So there's 6. Wouldn't that be fun if we get a 2-2-2-2?
Ooh, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah. Doesn't our Michael vote?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 7 then.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It'd be 7.
Yeah.
All right. I think I've got a decent shot because I have played very aggressively. I have laid out kind of like I said, I've kind of flipped from being loyal to people to being loyal to other people, but I feel like that's just been in the benefit of actually making the end game. I feel like I've done challenges to save myself when it counted, much like Flippin'. I feel like I've come in the top rankings consistently. I have a really good track record when it comes to the projects. And then IDI, I feel like you're the exact same way. I feel like you've made moves to save yourself. I feel like you're very good socially, probably better than I am. I feel like people might just award you the prize just because, like, hey, they're stupid enough to let you get to the end a second time, so why not, you know? So, I don't know. And you definitely do have a good presentation style to you. That's one thing that I could never beat you on, was the presentation aspect of the projects. So it's interesting. And, of course, we're going to have that debate. Who is going to be the best know-it-all? Is it going to be Tiki? Is it going to be IDI?
Like I said in the thread, I think the fairest way to do it would be to average our 2 scores from both seasons.
Yeah, shut up. It's the knowingest know-it-all season 2. You're the knowingest know-it-all season 1.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. Let's see. In terms of the fantasy draft, I believe that Space has IDI and Flippin', and I have myself. Is that correct?
Yep.
I have no idea.
Yeah, because you only had one person left, and it had to be you.
Right. Okay, so who knows? Space has good odds to win, but I am definitely like playing for myself to win both the game and the fantasy draft. So I guess that's some extra motivation on my part, I guess. And yeah, I'm very curious to see just how this final tribal council goes. I'm curious to see how passionate the jury's going to be, what the format our Michael cooks up is going to be, because I forget the format of last time because I wasn't in the final tribal council. I was just a juror.
Last season, I was just reading it. Last season was you had opening statements, then you asked questions, then the finalists answered the questions, and you had closing statements, I think. Then we had the winner.
Okay, so that's definitely going to be a process that'll take a while. I'm very curious. You know, it's like at this point, there's not much else you can do. You know, I'm completely satisfied just making it to the end. IDI, I know you feel the same way. So if Flippin goes on to win, bravo. I'll definitely tip my hat to him. He was a quiet player. He was under the radar. He slipped by. He never, he kind of let bigger personalities eat each other in a way, but I feel like that's all part of his strategy. I'm going to be curious to see if he has strategy that he's laid out that maybe we weren't aware of before this point, and it should be really interesting. And it's just been an overall just very, very solid season of Survivor in general. And I can't wait to talk about the winner when we get back with the reunion. We'll try to do something with, with Space and Red. I'm hoping that they can make it on sometime next week. And then Jokers, I'm going to try and get on. I don't know. Maybe Jokers will probably be better to say for so you want to be an Imagineer, but that's all good. That's all good. So next week, when the winner gets revealed, I want to definitely try and do something with DSquared, myself, IDI, Sam, Space, and Red. Am I forgetting anyone? I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So yeah, all those folks who have been podcasting with us over the season, who have been playing over the season, I definitely want to talk to all y'all at the reunion. You hear? All right. Any last words, you guys?
I was thinking about it a moment ago when you were like just setting up the finale. Wouldn't that be a fun story of the season if like we've been building up this narrative of like you versus me in the finals, and like we end up like both getting second, and then Flippin swoops in and wins.
I honestly think that's a likely scenario. I really do.
Yeah. And we'll see.
All right. So.
And I have all sorts of like fun tidbits and secrets I can share with you at the reunion.
Oh yeah, I can finally tell the full story of episode 1 now that I can give out names and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get into a little bit of that on this show. I'm glad we're kind of able to be a little bit more open about how we were voting and stuff on the, on the actual vote as opposed to beforehand, where I feel like I was kind of asking you guys questions and getting stonewall answers in a way.
Actually, there's one thing in particular. Now that it's the final 3, I kind of want to share this because it was kind of a fun part of the mid-season.
Oh no.
Tiki, remember when we were on that tribe with, I think it was La Rosa?
Mm-hmm.
And it was with Puff and Matt and then a couple inactive people.
Yeah.
At the Perry vote, when it was supposed to be a unanimous vote against Perry, you got that one miscellaneous vote. Remember that?
Was that you?
It was.
Oh my god, of course it was. Are you pulling a Kelly, God, who was the one that did a T-Bird? Pulling a T-Bird. T-Bird did the fake note in Africa. Why are you doing that, man? Come on.
I feel like I did have like reasoning behind it, partially just for fun and just for paranoia. That was the main reason.
Just to stir my paranoia. That's great. How thoughtful of you.
But also, you know how you got that reward at the first reward challenge, like the hidden idol.
Yeah.
Me and a few others, we had no idea what that was, or what your reward was. I was talking to Red, and all she would give away was that it was immunity, and I didn't know what that meant. And then me and a few others were theorizing on it, and I think the conclusion we came to was that the first time you get voted for, you'll be safe. Because I think we thought a full-on Project Veto would be a bit much, so that's kind of what we thought of. It could be the reward.
Right.
So
right.
I figured voting for you, if that was it, that would give it away. Meanwhile, it really didn't screw up any plans because everyone else was voting Perry.
Okay, I hear you.
But also the paranoia was an added bonus.
Yeah.
Of course. All right. Well,
There's much
IDI,
more to say for the reunion.
Yeah. IDI, wish you the best of luck going into the final tribal council. DSquared, I genuinely commend you for being such an awesome character this whole time. And in the meantime, guys, if you don't mind muting your mics. You got them off? Okay. All right, and guys, I have one thing that I need to share with you guys. One thing I just absolutely have to get off my back that I just can't hold it in any longer, guys.
Have your